Hey guys, my name is Jeff Rojas. I'm a commercial and editorial photographer based out of New York City. Now, I get a lot of emails about running a business in 2018. Rather, can you make a living as a photographer today? So I'm going to answer that question for you guys. The short answer is yes. It's just exactly how much of a living you want to make and how much effort you're willing to put. Now, that's extremely subjective. How much elbow grease are you willing to put in, and how much are you looking to get out of it? What I find is photographers pretty much want easy jobs. They want things that are going to come to them. But the reality is this industry is oversaturated with a ton of other photographers. There's a ton of videographers, photographers saturating the market that are just starting. They're hobbyists, they're enthusiasts, they're interested in photography. And if you're interested in running a successful business, the idea, the objective is to effectively counteract that and work against them, which isn't easy. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. The idea is to look at it from, instead of an enthusiast perspective, as a business person, as an entrepreneur. How do you go against the grain, against everyone else who's shooting for free and shooting for $10, $20, $50, and working as a professional photographer? So I go back to this. You have to provide enough value for your clients in order for them to hire you. Now, I'm not talking about value in just monetary. I'm talking about providing the most amount of value every client is expecting from you, how much value that is. So let's quantify that for a second. Value is what your clients deem as important, meaning you're creating something in order to reach a specific objective. So let's say as a commercial photographer, what I produce is images that the client uses to advertise in order to sell product. What's valuable to them is an image that's going to sell product. If I can do that, or I can do that better than anyone else, I'm able to provide much more value to a client. Now, in that same example, if a client's producing, let's say, ads for a specific brand, maybe they're on tight deadlines. They need to get something done in the next week or two. And you're a photographer that can produce amazing images and produce them in a short amount of time, have them retouched within a week or half of, let's say, 3 days for that specific client. You're much more valuable to your client than anyone else. They see the impact that you have. Now, another example. If you're a photographer that specializes in, let's say, business portraits, and you're photographing a lawyer, if you can make them look professional and poised, how much impact does that have on their business? How much value can you drive to them? So one of the things I said in another video of mine was it impacts their bottom line revenue. So those of you that don't understand that, let me be very just frank. If you can photograph a good image of a lawyer, it affects their overall revenue, how much money they're able to bring in. So as an example, if I had a bad photograph of a lawyer and I were to go to the website, would I want to hire that person? Let's just be honest, probably not. But if they look poised, they look professional, they look like somebody I can relate to, I probably will hire that person, especially if they're the most qualified. In 2018, we judge people based on their appearance. That's just reality. We scroll through dating websites, we go on professional sites, and we make our buying decisions based on image. And when you can understand that, you can help a client understand how much more valuable your photography is for that specific person, photography or video. Now, it's not just selling. You have to understand that you have to sell more than what your overhead cost is or what it costs to stay in business. That's how you stay profitable. That's a very simple fact. Most enthusiasts are basically covering the cost of a couple shots here and there. Most of them are probably losing money. So as an example, one of the things I give most of my students is, what does it cost to buy a camera these days? If it's $3,000, $4,000, and the lens is another, let's say $1,000 or $2,000, you have a lot of expense to cover. So let's say your average shutter is worth 500,000 images. If you start dividing that and you do the math, every shot that you take costs some money. If you take 500 images for 20 bucks, you're losing money. It's just simple math. So for you to run a sustainable business, your profit has to be more than your cost of doing business. That's 101. When you can start thinking with that mindset, then you can start drawing income for your business. So the next thing to understand is that there has to be a market for your idea. You have to go ahead and produce content for an available market. You can't just come up with a new idea and hope that there's a market in the first place. You have to understand that people want to invest in what you're producing. Now, when you're effectively shooting alongside people who are doing things for free and their expectations are for you to do things for free, The idea is to focus on providing enough value for people to understand why you're in business, why you're 10 times better than that person, and why it's worth going to you. So here's an example. If the same example I used before, if a lawyer went to hire a photographer and one photographer says, I'll do it for 20, and I said, I'm going to do it for 5,000, my objective at that point is to discuss why I'm charging $5,000. Why am I that many times more successful than that person, even if we're the same quality? And I'll give you the exact answer that I give most clients. When I speak to those clients, I tell them, what is image worth to you? What is your image worth to you? Is it worth $20? Is it worth $10,000? Is it worth $20,000? What does your average client cost you? What's your profit margin for that specific client? If it's $3,000 and because of your image, you lose 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 clients a month because of the image that other person produced, what's that worth to you? Well, if that's worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, that's why I'm charging $5,000. So I can make sure I can draw those new clients in. When I can articulate that to a client, I have much more value to the client. I'm able to articulate that, and I'm no longer that $20, $30, $40, $50 photographer. I have much more value there. So you have to understand your value to the client. Overall, I'm not saying that everyone watching this video is going to be successful, but you have to put a lot of elbow grease into making this a successful business. You have to understand that knocking on doors is infinitely important, sending out emails and following up with those emails to say, hey, listen, I'm interested in working with you. By the way, did you get that email I sent last week? I'd really like to work with you. And following up with people, knocking on doors, networking, reaching out to new markets. It's absolutely possible to be a photographer, a professional photographer, somebody who's getting paid to be a photographer in 2018 if you're looking for it. Whether that's a $30,000 a year income or whether that's $500,000 a year. Regardless of what you choose to, which spectrum you try to be on, it's absolutely possible. It's just the amount of work you're willing to put in. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave those in the comment section below. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. You guys have an amazing day.